Hi, kia ora, and welcome to Creative Connections, where we have beautiful, inspiring conversations with artists living in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm your host, Mandy Yarkich. Caitlin Johnston is a multimedia artist living near the Hibiscus Coast, north of Tāmaki Makaurau Auckland. As a Kiwi, much of Caitlin's work shows the deep connection that we have with the ocean and the land in Aotearoa, the way it makes us feel and how we are connected to it. The sounds of the waves, the emotions we feel, the endless beauty of coastline, and the nature of New Zealand inspires Caitlin's work. Caitlin uses upcycled surfboards and various other found materials as her canvas, then incorporates mixed media acrylic paint, drawings, and pure oxidized copper, often sealed with a resin pour. 2 years ago, at the age of 30, Caitlin made the decision to devote herself to being a full-time artist. She began by entering art shows, which proved to be very successful, giving her the confidence to continue and deadlines to work towards. In this episode, Caitlin talks about her love of trying out new techniques and experimenting with found materials, such as discarded surfboards, old frames, mirrors, and wood. We discuss her use of copper leaf, the oxidizing process, her approach to painting on the back of a mirror, and her love of experimentation. Caitlin has a very positive, reflective attitude to her growing art career. We talk about the term self-taught artist, how she has found her distinctive, very original style, her love of portraiture and where that is heading, what she loves about the regional New Zealand art shows, and we also touch on why she thinks she needs to show some restraint and the narratives and ideas behind her work. Hi, Caitlin.
Hello.
So good to see you.
You too.
It's
Hope
lovely.
you're having a nice time in Turkey.
Yeah, we're having an amazing time. It's a gorgeous morning, and you're looking very Aotearoa with your green jumper and your gorgeous cabbage tree behind you.
I thought I would match the greenery behind me.
You do. You blend in well. So just for a bit of context for the listeners and the viewers, you and I met when you were about 22 and you're now 32. And we met through my business, Creative Matters, and you were one of my star educators. Amazing. And we've kind of, it's been really nice because we've got closer as friends, and you've always been somebody who I've just sort of admired and respected. And, even when you were in your early 20s, there was just something about you that was really special. So it's been really nice for us to be able to kind of maintain our relationship, and we keep bumping into each other in various places, which is good. And it's really so lovely to have you on the podcast. So welcome to Creative Connections.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, so I don't know all of your backstory, so it'd be really interesting to know where you were born and what you were like as a kid.
Yep, so I was born in Auckland, grew up in Auckland. We moved to the Hibiscus Coast when I was about 2 or 3, so I've been brought up near the water. I'm a water baby, and we spent most afternoons at the water. My dad would take me to the beach when he got home from work. So that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from as an artist as well. I always loved the arts at school. It was sort of the only thing that I loved and did well at. I struggled with most other things. And then when I left school, I had the opportunity to either go and study art or go traveling. So I did that about a year after I left school, and I traveled overseas for about a year and loved it. And then I ended up getting the travel bug and I traveled about 5 years. And that is also where a lot of my inspiration has come from as well.
And you spent about 3 years in Panama, didn't you?
Yeah, so that was about 4 years. My husband and I were over there, and that is sort of where my art started from. We came back to New Zealand in between, and I brought my paints back with me. I've always painted my whole life. I've always loved art. I remember my mum told me that when my friends would come over to play, I would tell them, sorry, I'm just going to be painting over here.
Really cute. Oh, that's so sweet.
It's just always been part of me and come very naturally to me. So while we're in Panama, there would be rainy season for about 4 months every year. It would just rain all day. And I found that I love to be in the outdoors and I love to be doing things. I hate to be stuck inside. So I started painting over there. We lived in like a surfy town. So there was a lot of old surfboards or pieces of wood. So I didn't have canvases. You couldn't get anything like that where we were. So I just used what I found around me. I started painting on surfboards and then big chunks of wood. And I seemed to sell them and it went really well. And then I never stopped painting after that.
That's amazing. And how were you selling them at that point?
I think I would sell them just through like a Facebook group in Panama, because we were in it was a bunch of islands, so it was quite a small community. So everybody was on Facebook because that was how you got things and found rentals, things like that.
Yeah. And was your work similar? I mean, I guess you were using acrylics, were you, at that time?
Yeah.
And was it similar themes, sort of connecting with the sea?
Yeah, both of the surfboards and the wood pieces I would use. There was always an inspiration from the ocean in there. And then also in a lot of my work, I always add like a personal touch or a feminine touch, because I feel like, for me anyway, the inspiration comes from our connection to the water and to nature around us.
That is still, very evident in your work now. So that was like 10 years ago kind of thing. Is that right?
Yeah. So
you came back about 10 years ago.
Yes, I think we came back 2018. Yeah, so about 8 years ago. Just before COVID. Yeah, and I just carried it on when we came home. I always had another job, so it was something that I used to make money, but I hadn't given it my all yet. And that's when I started working with you as well, because I loved the arts. So it was like, I loved that job, working with children and teaching art. Yeah.
And you were so good at it. Oh my God, such a good educator, real natural. It was lovely for me to have you on the team. But I mean, I guess I was really interested to talk to you because I feel like, you're 32, you're an emerging artist, but you've just got a really interesting story, which I think everybody from any age group can learn from and can be inspired by. That you've been sort of working on the side like so many of us. And then, a couple of years ago, you decided to sort of jump off the cliff and really devote yourself to your practice. So can you tell us how that came about and how that felt?
I have always had it on the side, and as that grew, I began to love it more. I would experiment. I'm always experimenting in my art practice. and I started to sell quite consistently. So it was 2 to 3 years ago, and I started thinking more deeply about it. Like, I really either have to jump in the deep end and give this a go, or I need to focus on something else in my career and give that a go. And I sat down and I just really thought about it, and I just love the arts, and I love the art world, and it's my biggest passion. So I thought, I'm just going to give it a go. I've always thought that way, just give everything a go, and then see what comes from that and what opportunities come from. Even if it doesn't go as well as you planned, there's always another opportunity that might come from that. So that was what I did. And then my art practice has sort of taken off from there. I'm still emerging, but I've sort of just kept going and kept giving things a go.
Yeah, and I've really seen your career sort of evolve in that time. You know, it seems to me, it might not feel like this for you, but it feels like you are making really good progress, and it seems like you're just grabbing all the opportunities you possibly can. And I can see that you're sort of, you know, doing a bit of research and deciding on where you want to be showing your work, and you've sort of, it's like you've changed your mindset a little bit. You're like, okay, I'm going to make this work. This is what I need to do, which is really inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think because I didn't study, I've really had to put in the work to keep learning and keep experimenting, and also that keeps me interested as I get bored easily. So I love trying new things, and I've experimented a lot with copper in my work, and now I'm learning how to oxidize other metals or other things, work with other materials as well.
Yeah, it's so good. And I love the way that you try different materials. It's really interesting to watch, and you document it really well on Instagram. I think it's a great part of your practice. Do you feel like you're kind of searching for your sort of your main style, or do you feel like you're always going to be a multimedia artist?
I think I was searching a little while ago. I feel like I've found that, but at the same time, I will also always, I feel, be evolving as an artist and using a lot of different materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that. And it feels like you've definitely established your style. Like your work is very recognizably yours, which is good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's just jump into you describing your practice for people who haven't seen your work before.
Okay, so as I said before, I don't normally work, well, I haven't actually worked with a canvas. I like to use things that I can find around me that maybe would be thrown away, or I look at everything as a canvas. So initially I worked with surfboards. I still use surfboards sometimes. I've recently been I'll find big giant old frames that maybe are a bit damaged or would be thrown out, and I'll repair them, and I will use the frame as a canvas as well as part of the painting. I'm working with mirrors now and oxidizing that mirror and then painting behind the mirror. So I love to use different surfaces as my canvas and then build from there. A lot of my work is inspired by growing up in New Zealand and how nature and the water becomes part of us. We're always drawn back to that, and we have so many memories that come from that. So yeah, my work is inspired by that, but also the emotions that we feel. So sometimes my work would be inspired by a landscape, but also other times it would be inspired by our personal feelings and people. because there's a lot of us on the earth, and that's what our lives revolve around, people and our journeys and experiences through life. So that is a big part of my work.
Yeah. And so it's like it's a combination of, a lot of the time it's a combination of portraiture in
Yeah.
a way, isn't it? It was quite figurative.
Yes.
But then it's also has a sort of, sometimes it has a bit of an abstract feeling about it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't I don't paint like super realistic paintings, and my paintings will always have like hidden people in the mountains, or the rocks will have little eyes, or it's a big portrait itself. But yeah, there's always that personal touch in there.
Yeah. And
Mm.
do you feel like your works are quite narrative, that the whole work is telling a story that you've thought through and then you're wanting
Yeah.
to express? Or do the stories kind of develop as you make?
Sometimes they develop as I make, but most of the time I have either a story or an emotion that we might feel. So I actually find it quite easy to write about my work and the meanings behind it, because for me that's a big part, and I like people to feel a lot when they see my work.
So
Mm.
do you feel like you need to express your thoughts to the viewer? So, when you're showing your work, have you got that written somewhere, or do you feel like that is an important part of your work?
Yeah, I usually have a little blurb next to, if it's exhibiting anywhere, I'll try to have a blurb, because I feel like there is a lot of meaning behind my pieces. I also, with the figures that I use, I try to make them not so subjective though, so that anybody can relate to them, or the viewer feels how they feel when they view it. I don't want to sort of force a feeling onto them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. And
Mm.
are you thinking that your work needs to all be sort of based around the land and place? Is that sort of an important part of what you're thinking?
That was a big part of me last year with my last collection. This year, I have been venturing a little bit more to figures, and being a lot less subjective. Um, but I feel like a lot of my work it is either drawn to nature or drawn to people.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And sometimes together and sometimes not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is great. And I feel like the work that you were doing, I guess, last year and you're still doing now, it's quite a distinctive color palette, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't, that's just how it happens with my work. I guess that's just me as an artist. That is the color palette. I do love using copper in my work, just because I find it goes with most color schemes and it really pops under the light. So I do use a copper, which I oxidize on most of my paintings.
Yeah. And then
Mm.
the blues. I mean, when I think of your work, I think of blue
Yeah.
and copper, which
Yeah.
is a gorgeous combination. Yeah, but some of your portraiture work that I've seen this year is starting to move slightly away from that color palette, would you say?
Yep, going maybe a bit more earthy, and I'm experimenting with some other stronger colors and just seeing how that goes. Yeah, I'm just
Mm.
always experimenting.
Yeah, it's so good. And
Yeah.
it's an interesting practice because you've got these different mediums that you use, but then you're still managing to kind of wrap them up and make them feel cohesive.
Yeah. Yeah, I do try to make them cohesive. I do also, because I get bored, I do add lots of little quirky things, and I try, as the viewer looks at the piece, they will find more as they go, or if they're to have it in their home, they'll always be discovering little hidden treasures.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
would be fun, I can
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah. So we'll talk about the mirror project that you tackled, which I think looked incredibly challenging. But first of all, can you talk to us a little bit about your process? So the copper oxidizing and oxidizing in general, how does that actually work?
So my process, I'll usually start with, sometimes I add some mixed media to the background. Always need to paint the picture first, and then once I'm sort of happy with the painting, I cover most of the painting with copper leaf, so you can't see most of the painting. And then once that is dried and set on there, I'll add a solution, acid solution to the painting, and that will oxidize. It used to take overnight. Now, because we're closer to the ocean, it happens in a few days, and it all depends on humidity and everything. So it's different every time. I don't normally sleep very well when I'm doing that. Always like, is it done now? I'm not sure.
I can imagine. So what do you mean by oxidizing? Like, can you explain that actual chemical process?
So you can use a lot of solutions. I like to just use natural. You can use chemical. I try to just use a vinegar and salt, and I've experimented a lot with that. Like, I had to be careful that it wouldn't ruin the artwork or erode over time the artwork as well. But if you just apply the right amount, it will just subtly patina the copper away, and then you need to neutralize it. So I'll just get a damp cloth with a bit of water and clean it all up and let it completely dry.
Amazing.
So to make that stop freeze in time, then you'll need to fully seal it. So sometimes I'll pour resin on the top of my work, or we use like a clear coat spray so that it won't yellow over time.
And so just going back to laying down the copper leaf, is it just like gold leaf or silver leaf where you have the sheets and
Yeah.
put them onto adhesive?
Yeah. Yeah, I found that works best for me, and yeah, it's lots
And
you
so
can. You go.
sorry. So the painting is complete, and then you just add the bits of copper all over, you said. So
Yeah.
you're not really determining exactly where the copper goes necessarily. That becomes a little bit organic, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it totally evolves organically. So I will sort of purposefully put the copper sometimes on places. If I've made a mistake, I can cover it up with the copper.
Perfect.
Or if I need to balance things out a bit. My work is quite busy, I find, so the copper helps it balance a little bit and just give it a little bit of a breath.
Mm.
Yeah.
So the copper is the final stage. Once you have that applied and you've done your oxidizing, then you seal, and then that's it. That's finished. The painting's
Yeah.
finished.
So once the copper is done, I will just touch a few things up, add a few details or lines or anything like that, and then completely seal it, and then it's good to go.
Brilliant. And how did you come across the medium of copper?
I am just always looking for new, different ways. I think it's important to be unique, and it's important to always be learning. I think as artists, you can get bored easily, so I'm trying to always learn. And when I'm learning new things, it's really exciting for me, and I love it. So I can't remember what the question you was.
How you actually discovered copper as a medium?
Oh, yes, so I was just I'm always researching. So it came up on the internet, copper, and I thought, oh, I might give that a go. It was on a surfboard that I tried it on, and it really made the artwork. I feel like my art it needs it. I don't know. It just works well. So
Yeah, it
I
really
guess,
does. And it does give you that sort of, I think it just brings something quite unique to your work. The
yes.
way it combines with your actual drawings and painting
Yeah.
is it's effective. Yes, it's great.
Yeah, I'm trying to be different. And yeah, I do get
Yeah.
told my work is, they haven't seen anything like it. So that's always a good thing, I think.
Yeah, it really is. It's so good. And speaking about that, I've seen the work that you've done at Auckland Art Show and places like that. And you've had, like, sometimes you've had sellout shows, haven't you? Well, you've done really well. So I feel like people are really responding, and I suppose New Zealanders would connect very much because it's the sea, which so many of us are sort of connected to. But
Mm.
how do you find people respond to your work? And you must be really stoked that people are wanting to own a piece.
Yeah, I think that's what I love about art shows is you get to meet the people that buy your work. Sometimes I find it sad when your work sells at a gallery and you don't know where it went or who brought it. So I do love that, and just seeing people definitely connect emotionally with my work. Um, I had a lady that brought a piece. She lives on Norfolk Island, and it was quite a stormy piece. And she just connected with it straight away because it reminded her of her home. Yeah, and some of the meanings behind my work people really connect to. It's lovely to meet. It's really nice to meet people that when you see them connect with your work and their eyes
Mm.
light up, and it's really
Yeah.
special.
It is really lovely, and that's why the format of those shows is so good in that way. And
Hmm.
I feel like when somebody speaks to an artist who's made a work, they have a whole other appreciation for the work, and learn more about the process and the ideas behind it, which is good. And then you do have that opportunity of putting the label up, which you don't always, you're not always able to do in some
Hmm.
galleries.
Yeah,
And you can choose how you show your work and how it goes together.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah. And
and
it's nice
I
because
yeah,
I feel like as an artist, you always put your heart and soul into your work and you're really connected to it. So I really like that connection that you can have with other people.
yeah, and
Show.
you're the best person to speak about your work ultimately.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you know it, you feel it.
yeah,
Yeah. So you've
totally.
done two Auckland art shows this year and last year. Tell us about that and how it went.
They went really well. Last year was my first show. So that was sort of me stepping out into the big world. I was terrified. I thought I was going to sell nothing. It's going to be a big failure. I'd have to go and get a different job. That was sort of, yeah, that was I gave everything to that, building up to that show. And I think I had about 11 all big pieces, and I think I sold 9. So that was amazing. And then the other 2 sold later on in the year.
That's so
Um,
good. Well done.
yes. So that really gave me my confidence and to realize, like, your validation as an artist, and to realize that it's not just, sometimes you never know when you're creating the work. Is it really cool or is it rubbish? You just
Yeah.
never.
Yeah.
So that was really amazing, and it's so cool to connect with all the other artists too, and a cool experience. So after that, I've just kept making collections and then working towards shows and going from there.
Yeah. And I guess it's a good kind of it's nice to have those deadlines and sort of through your pathways,
Yes,
which you can think about creating a collection around, or having the deadline so it actually keeps you honest and keeps you
yes, I
working.
definitely need deadlines. I didn't realize that, but I do. Otherwise,
Yeah,
I'll faff around.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's helpful. And how do you find sort of combining experimenting or your love of experimenting with actually, completing a collection?
Yeah, that is hard because you need to do what you know sells and what works. But I try, after I've worked towards a show, it's quite a big job making a lot of pieces. So I try to have a little bit of a break after, um, and take that time to just like fill your cup creatively, and also take time to experiment and learn new things. And then I'll carry on with how I was as an artist, but I'll incorporate a new thing that I've taught myself or I want to try.
Yeah, that's a really good combination. And you mentioned that you do a bit of research and you like connecting with other artists through the art shows. Do you feel like you would have had an advantage if you had studied art and sort of started to build those connections and maybe,
Mm.
started to think more about the research and the ideas behind your work? Do you feel like you're disadvantaged at all?
Yeah, that's all. I've thought about that a lot. Like there is still the opportunity that I could go and study. I find I don't do well under pressure, so I don't know. I think the benefit of the way I've done things is that I can experiment without the pressure, and I've sort of been able to just find my way organically. Um, but I think there is benefits as well to studying and making connections. Maybe I would have done all this a bit earlier in my life, but I'm happy with how it's gone and going. I
Yeah.
like I like that I'm able to experiment and keep learning and have no pressure. It's quite
Yeah.
freeing.
Yeah. And I think sometimes self-taught artists talk about that, although that whole idea of self-taught artist is interesting in a way
Mm.
because it's like we're all artists and what is self-taught and what is not self-taught. Like going to
Mm.
university, it doesn't really mean that you're actually being taught the art about being an artist. Well, you are, but can you see
Mm.
what I'm saying? It's like I've actually
Yeah,
never really verbalized this, but in a way, we're all our own artists, and
we're still all learning as we go
yeah,
with
and
what
it's all
we put
inside
into it.
us. Yeah,
Yeah, I do
but then
agree.
when you go to university, you get great influences and sort of great
Mm.
learning. But then you can also get that in other ways. So yeah, it's an interesting idea. I
Mm.
feel like I don't think these days self-taught, the word self-taught is a bad thing anymore. It's not seen as sort of
No.
maybe, but then I think there's still areas in the art world where it isn't respected as much. Or I don't
Mm.
know. It's an interesting
Mm.
topic, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not
Mm.
sure.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I think, yeah. I mean, if you're art, yeah, I don't know what to say here, but I
Yeah.
think, yeah, like art is it's personal, and you become who you are as an artist as your life goes on. So I think there's benefits to studying, and then there's benefits not to study. Well, yeah, I think there's no wrong way.
No. And
Yeah.
just the life experiences that you've had would have influenced you hugely with your travel and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah.
definitely.
And it
Mm.
might be interesting to go to. I mean, I often think I'd love to go to uni,
Yeah.
because and study art and art history actually. But you sort of think, in some ways, having that life experience and developing your practice to a point could be a good time to go because then
Mm.
you're just kind of broadening your horizons, but you've still got that base of what you've already established.
Definitely. Like you never know what opportunities could come from doing that as well. And yeah, I think working on your own style could help with other like mentors Like, I think I know I need to work on restraint in my work. So, yeah, maybe if I was maybe that might have changed the way I worked as well if I'd gone to art school earlier.
Why do you feel like you need to work on restraint?
I think, as I said before, I like to add a lot of things to my work. Like, you keep discovering things, but I'm at the point now where I think I might try to use a bit of restraint in my work and see how that goes as well. I don't know. It's just my work is a lot. There's a lot going on and it's very busy. So I'd like to try a bit of restraint in some of my works and see how it goes.
In some of them. And I think it's still good to keep some of the, the more complex kind of busy ones as well, because people obviously like them.
Yeah.
And you like to make them. So, no reason why you can't have a few different styles or different approaches. Yeah. And so when talking again about art shows, you haven't done Art in the Park, which is a very popular show in Auckland at Eden Park, and that's every year as well. So perhaps you could do that next year. Are you thinking about that?
Yeah, that's on the cards. I hope to do. I'm in the Auckland Art Show for next year, and then the NZ Art Show in Wellington. So I'll see if Art in the Park isn't too close to the Auckland Art Show. I'd love to do that. It's an amazing experience as well. So yeah, I'm just continuing to put myself out there and see where it goes.
It's so good. And you're doing the Queenstown Art Show this year in October.
Yeah, so that's in a couple of months. So I'm working on a collection for that.
And what sort of work are you doing for that show?
I have a couple of pieces that are inspired by the South Island, and they have little personal touches in them as well. Like, I have a piece that has hidden people in the mountains. They sort of camouflaged and you find them as you look. And then also a piece inspired by Arrowtown, which, well, it's mainly inspired by how our lives are so busy and we need to just slow down and smell the roses and look for the little treasures along the way. So that piece I've made quite busy on purpose, so that the more you look at that piece, you will find lots of little hidden things. And then I have just started experimenting as I feel quite confident in oxidizing copper, so I've just started with old mirrors now, and this could be the beginning of a new era for me and a new collection. We'll see how it goes. Where I oxidize the mirror so it organically erodes, and then part of the mirror is still there, which I then paint behind, so the painting's sort of popping out behind the mirror.
Wow.
So we'll see how that goes. That'll be part of the Queenstown Art Show.
I love that idea. So when you oxidize or you apply the vinegar and salt solution, are you taking off the reflective part of the mirror? Is that how it works?
It was quite a process for me. It's quite different to oxidizing copper, so I had to learn a bit about that. You need to take the paint layer off the back of the mirror first, and then you work backwards. So you're working on the back of the mirror, and that erodes. You add chemical to that one, and then that erodes organically. And then you need to paint. You're painting on the back, so you're actually painting backwards as you would normally paint a painting. Wow. So the background would be last, and you actually cover the entire painting. At the end, you'll only see one color, and then you turn it around and you see the whole painting.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, that was really fun. Quite stressful, because it's hard. If you make a mistake, you can't really change it. You can't just paint over it as you would a normal painting. So, but it's been fun, a good experiment.
Yeah, and starting from the front and sort of working backwards, but also backwards. Kind of way. And then you have to kind of turn it over quite a bit, I guess.
Yeah,
so that
just to check.
be,
but you're
yeah,
not
which would
going.
be hard in itself.
Yeah,
And your mirrors, the one that I've seen is quite big and they're quite heavy, I guess.
yeah. I tend to work with big things or in big pieces, which I've discovered makes things a lot more difficult for myself.
Yeah.
um, that's okay. I love it, and it's different, and it's a statement, I guess. I'm hoping this is a statement piece, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Sounds incredible. Can't wait to see it. So and I suppose too that your viewers, I think the medium that you actually work on or the mediums are probably interesting for people and like you say, really quite different. So having your work and being there at the art shows when they sort of respond to like, oh my God, it's made on a mirror, or like, I've never
Hmm.
seen a painting on a surfboard, and you're sort of engaging your audience, I suppose, purely from what you're actually painting on in some ways.
Yeah, I
Mm.
think it's really important to me to look outside the box to what you could create on and what you can create. I guess that's what I love about art is it's not restrictive. You can create a world that's not reality in not reality, or you can create on things that you wouldn't normally think you can create on. You can really do what you want. You just got to make it look cool.
Yeah, and I can imagine you're always thinking and sort of watching and observing closely and sort of seeing things and thinking, oh, could I use that? Or,
Yeah, my brain
which
never
is good.
stops. It's quite exhausting. It's always going. It's probably why I don't sleep well. I'm always like, what can I do next? Or what?
Yeah, you've
My
got
brain's
a
always
busy
ticking.
brain. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's nice that you're sort of in that mode now that you're feeling so inspired and so sort of, I mean, you must feel like there's so many things that you can experiment with, or,
yeah,
so many places to take your work in some ways.
yeah, totally. I feel like it's quite it's fluid, but it's going at a good pace where I'm just ticking over and learning new things and going in a good direction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is great. And I love the way you have just a little part-time job looking after a gorgeous boy, a young man who has Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And I love that. I've seen you a few times with him in galleries and openings and that kind of thing. I feel like you're sort of combining your love of art and wanting to go to galleries, but bringing him along is just such a beautiful thing to do. He's
Yeah.
such a lucky, well, the family are very lucky to have you.
Yeah, it's great. It's just 2 days, but it takes the pressure off as well that so I'm not my sometimes if you've got pressure it's hard to be creative. So that is nice, and also he loves painting and it helps me. He goes anywhere and likes to do anything. So like if I need to go to the framing shop that day, he comes with me and I can do lots of little admin things with him, and we often paint together. And then with the days I don't have him, I can fully focus on my art. So it's a really good balance for me, and he gets me out into the world as well, because I find being an artist sometimes is very isolating. So I really enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, it's so lovely, and it's so fantastic for him. You know,
Yeah.
it's the best, and yeah, I love that contrast. I think being aware of creating some sort of form of contrast in your week is
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
in
I
some
need
ways,
it.
so that, yeah, you're not doing the same thing all the time. And
Mm.
yeah, that's lovely. I love that. And that's a true reflection of the beautiful person you are.
Thanks.
Okay, sorry to embarrass you like that. Let's talk about the questions. What do you feel like has been the most significant moment in your career?
I think the moment of just stepping into the deep end, just putting myself out there, being ready for failure, but also success, just giving it a go and seeing what opportunities would come from that. Um, So that was only maybe 2 years ago. I did that. And I've been really lucky because my husband's really supported me through all of this, because it is hard getting yourself out there at the beginning. So probably that, just putting myself out there. Going to the Auckland Art Show was the first one I did. So that was really probably my turning point, knowing that I can do it.
Yeah.
People
And
do
getting,
like my art.
yeah, getting such a good positive response.
Yeah.
Yeah, would have been amazing. And what would you say either to your younger artistic self or somebody starting their art career?
Just give everything a go. Don't be scared. Don't worry about rejection. Just give everything a go. Every opportunity that comes up, take it, and then see where that goes.
Yeah. And what do you think being an artist has taught you about life?
It's taught me it's very hard to figure out what people like. You're always trying to make things that people like and want to buy, but you're also trying not to lose yourself at the same time and lose your creativity. So that's taught me to be yourself, never stop being your true self as an artist and who you are, and to find yourself as an artist and be unique.
Yeah, and then I think in turn that kind of helps you to really get to know yourself as a person, not just as an artist.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of self-discovery, I think, through the process of creating. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've learnt a lot about myself, and I do find being an artist, it is isolating. I'm not in the world as much. So I do find that hard, but also I like to be alone.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of time for thinking. I think when you're an artist, you think a lot and you're in your own head a lot, and you do look at everything a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've really noticed that being in Turkey. You know, I think I've said on the podcast already, you know, George is away from 7 till 7. And I'm in a foreign country. I don't have any friends here, apart from the couple of guys that George works with who I catch up with when they get home briefly. But it's an interesting one because in a way, it's kind of taking away all the potential distractions, including catching up with friends and that sort of thing. And it's really helping me to focus because I need to get into the routine and into the habit of making every day. And I feel like, you know, we were saying before we started recording, I feel like if I was home, I would have a lot of trouble with that because I'd always be thinking, oh, I need to do these chores, or you know, I need to go and buy some food for dinner, and you know, you've got all of those other things, and I've got this unique experience or opportunity here, and it doesn't feel lonely because I'm kind of, I listen to podcasts or Audible books
Me
while
too.
I'm making, so that's nice, and it feels quite productive. And it feels like you're not alone when you're listening to someone else's voice. But yeah, having not having that contact of the same sort of social contact with friends, even though you miss that, it's being filled by my creating, which it's actually interesting for me that I can do that and feel okay about that. It's really sort of filling a space, and it's working so well. It's like this is how you can be an artist, Mandy. Like this is what you need to do, and then the challenge will be taking it back home and
Yes.
continuing that discipline.
Yeah, when you're busier. I do like how, when you're just you've got nothing else and you're just with yourself, you're just sitting with yourself and your feelings, but it's a really amazing feeling, I think, if you're just with yourself and creating. Somebody once told me it's an emotional tranquilizer, creating. And then the more I thought about that, I was like, that's true, because it just, sometimes I don't want to start painting, but after an hour, I don't know, it does, you're calm and you're peaceful, and it's almost like you're in a little trance or something in a
Yeah.
not so weird way. But yeah, it's a special thing to be able to do that.
Yeah, it really is, and we're lucky to be living a life where we are doing that, But then,
Yeah.
you've made it happen as well. It's great that you've just decided I'm going to make this work, and you're doing
Mm.
such a great job. Yeah. What do you find are the biggest challenges of being an artist?
I have said, as I said before, trying to make work that does sell, but also not losing yourself and still loving it, and still keeping it fresh. Like, you might find something that sells, but you don't just want to do the same thing over and over again. You want to be continually evolving and still loving being an artist. Uh, and I do find, yeah, as I said, being isolated a bit, you're working on your own a lot. And yeah, the constant, I guess it's not a 9 to 5 job that you get your wage every fortnight or whatever. It is a little bit more stressful in that way. You never know how much you will make or won't make. Yeah, so just
Yeah.
trying not to stress as well, because that always hinders creativity.
Yeah, exactly. But it's financially always a little bit uncertain, isn't it, for most of
Mm,
us? Yeah.
yeah.
And we didn't talk earlier about galleries, but where are you at? I mean, you say you like being at art shows and talking to people, but are you wanting to be represented by more galleries, and who are you with at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm currently with Art Medicana, and they've just moved to Katikati. They were in Medicana for quite a few years, and I've been with them for several years now, so that's been really amazing. And with Oriwa Framing Studio, they're a nice local gallery to me. So I've just kept it at that, for the time being. But yes, I would love to be, with a few more galleries in the future. That would be really nice, and just to build that connection, and a gallery that suits me and my work would be lovely.
And what are you thinking? What for you is the right fit for a gallery?
Something, I mean, I loved Art Medicana when they were in Medicana, because they were, quite a quirky gallery. The walls were different, earthy. I think my work is earthy, and it does reflect a lot of New Zealand as well. So maybe a gallery that's important too.
Yeah.
Mm.
And galleries near the sea, I guess, would make sense, maybe.
Yeah. Yes. Probably.
Mm. Mm. Oh, well, hopefully you'll get yourself in lots of different places around New Zealand, because I feel like there's definitely the market for that for your work. And
Mm.
it would be lovely to have galleries in different parts of New Zealand, and then still have your art shows going. It would just feels like it'd be great. I
Yeah.
mean, you'd end up probably quite busy. You'd have to be careful
Yeah.
not to take on too many galleries. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so that's one of your sort of goals, is it, for
Yes.
finding more representation?
Yeah. Just to become more established, in that way. And yeah, I'd love to just be consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. And to have those sort of deadlines that you can work towards, just to keep you going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, do I have any other questions? Uh, I can't even think of my questions
Sure.
right this minute. Well, we've kind of talked about what's next for you. Is there anything else
Mm.
that you can see in your future?
I have thought about studying. That could be an option for me as well, just to broaden my practice. And yeah, I just love the next few years just to become more and more established and just keep going the way I've been going, and yeah, just keep putting myself out there.
Yeah. Oh, good on you. It's been so nice to talk to you about your art, and it's really nice for me to see you from Turkey and
Yeah,
listen to the New Zealand birds chirping in the background.
it's been
It's
nice
really
Kiwis
nice.
back here. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I'm sure your story will be really inspiring for lots of people. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Mandy. It's nice to chat.